I am temporary, a temporary combination of chemical elements. And these elements have existed for time out of mind. And this unique collection of molecules has combined to form me in this state. And for a blink of an eye, I exist. I am temporary. I exist now, in this moment, a consequence of my past, existing at this moment, and headed inexorably towards the future. These molecules which have combined to make me have existed in many forms and will continue to exist in billions of unique combinations long after this particular combination has ceased to be. I'll say it again. I am temporary. I live in time, and the time I have to live and to exist in this form is limited. In the grand scheme of the universe, I don't even register as the smallest of blips. Not good for the ego, but true nonetheless. So time, the specific allocation of years, hours, minutes and seconds that we have to exist in our current form, is by far our most precious resource. Each of us has an unknown set amount of time to spend alive, and best case scenario, each of us will live only for a blink of an eye. In no time at all, we will be a memory to those who loved us, and soon after that, all that will be left of us is our legacy, if we leave one. And even that legacy will fade to nothing in no time at all. The cosmos will continue its cosmic dance, my molecules will combine with others, and the elements that make me will become water, trees, and a billion other things for as long as the stuff of the universe exists. And so time, or the time that we have to exist, is unspeakably precious. And because time is so precious, I believe that it's really important that we spend time thinking about it, about time, how we have used it, how we are using it, and how we will use it. You may have seen in one of my videos above that one of my heroes thought deeply about time, how short it is and how full of potential it can be. Well, his name was Seneca, and he also wrote that it's usually only as we grow older that we begin to understand and to appreciate how short life is and how important it is for us to grasp it and use it and to enjoy it and live deliberately. He said this: "The spell of time which has been given to us rushes by so swiftly that with very few exceptions, life ceases just when we are getting ready for it." Well, I don't like to admit it, but I am growing older, and though I hope I have many years left to live, I want to live the time that I have left, however long that may be, as deliberately and as fully and as happily as possible. And it may come as no surprise to you, to live well, I believe that we have to think well, because I believe that you are what you think. And to do that, one of the things I do, for example, is to try and step outside of myself and to try and view my life as an outsider, as a spectator. One of the things I do is to think about my life as if it were a story I'm reading or a video game I'm playing. And this helps me to be a little bit more objective and to slow down and to view my story and to evaluate how well I'm living in the time that I have to live. And if you're breathing right now, then chances are it's not too late also for you to begin to think more clearly about the time you have left and to begin or to continue to live life deliberately and fully. Hi, and welcome to my channel, You Are What You Think. I passionately believe that what we think shapes who we are. So to try and break this narrative up so you're not just looking at me speaking, I'm going to tell you a story. And our story today is about an average Western person, and I'd like you to meet Bob, your average Western guy. At the start of the game of life, if all goes well, Bob can expect to live for around 80 years. Not bad, to be fair. That's 29,200 days or 4,172 weeks. More than many of his ancestors had for sure. But let's say that today, when we meet Bob, it's his 30th birthday. Well, he's done well so far and he's made it past some pretty complex levels. But when we meet our new friend Bob, he now has around, 50 years left to live. That's 18,250 days or 2,608 weeks. But the thing is, Bob needs to sleep. He needs to recover to make it through the next 50 levels. So let's take away an average of 8 hours a day away from those figures. And let's see how much time Bob actually has left to play with. So taking away the time Bob will need to sleep, he actually has more like 12,166 days left to spend, or 1,738 weeks. But remember, Bob also needs coins to buy all the things that he needs, or at least thinks he needs, to get through the remaining levels of the game. So let's subtract an average number of working hours away from these figures. Our friend Bob is now only actually left with 9,132 days, or 1,305 weeks. 1,305 weeks. That's probably it. And it could very easily be fewer weeks than that. Life is so uncertain, and we are simultaneously resilient and fragile things. So at 30 years old, Bob has something more like 1,305 weeks left on the earth. Just over 1,000 lazy Sunday mornings. I think it's so useful to sit down sometimes and think about these things. I don't know about you, but I look at life's story, my story, and I look at these numbers and play around with them, and I calculate how many hours I spend commuting, how many hours a week I watch Netflix, and for the record, that's depressing. How much time I spend doing nothing worthwhile, or how many hours a week I spend mindlessly scrolling through my phone. And in all honesty, these numbers really make me happy, probably never make me happy. But they do help to reorient myself. They do help. They help me to take stock and to prioritize. Doing these little storytelling and number exercises helps to shape the way I think about the time I have and the things I spend doing with the little time that I have left. And doing these exercises raise questions in my mind. Who do I want to spend time with? How important is working 40 hours a week to me? What things should I keep doing? And what things should I stop doing? And on that note, now that I've talked about work slightly, let's take a look at another short story now. In the West, it is perfectly normal to work 9 to 5 for most of our adult lives in the hope of being able to enjoy living in retirement. But in all honesty, the idea of this retirement carrot at the end of life's stick makes me really uncomfortable the more I think about it. To me, this storyline of retirement is becoming more and more horrible the more I think about it, and let me explain why. So here's Bob again, and by now he's completed 65 difficult levels. He's navigated all of the adventures and dangers that each level has brought, including working hard to swap his time for coins to buy all the tools he felt he needed throughout each level. And now, here he is, ready to enjoy the final levels of the game of life in peace. He now has perhaps 15 years of life left ahead of him. That's 5,475 days, or just 783 weeks left to live. But there's a problem with this picture, because our friend Bob now doesn't look like this. Instead, he looks more like this. And although Bob the little wizard looks cool, Far from being the healthy and energetic Bob of the previous levels, he now needs to swap more coins for potions and pills to help his aging body to function as well as possible in the short time that he has left. It's likely also that he will need to get hold of some sort of wizard staff to help him walk around, and, best case scenario, in fewer than 800 short weeks, our friend Bob's adventure will come to an abrupt and everlasting end. So guys, now you have a glimpse at the depressing mind games that I play with myself when I'm not recording videos. Humans have this amazing ability to view themselves from the outside and to reflect on themselves, on life and the world around them. It really is an astonishing capability. And my conclusion when I think about these things, the things that I've shared with you in this video, is that I truly believe that we must not allow life to happen to us. We must grasp life, live deliberately, and as much as possible, work out what truly living looks like for us. Seneca, who we met at the beginning of this video, said this: "Why are you idle? If you don't grasp time first, it flees. And even if you do grasp it, it still flees. So you must match time's swiftness with your speed in using it." And so my advice, primarily to myself, but also to you, for what it's worth, is to spend time thinking about your own life. Think back at your life story so far, the good and the bad, the time well spent and the time misused over the last year, decade, week. Think about the wonder of your existence and remember that the time that you have, as wonderful as it is incredibly brief. For the blink of an eye in which you exist, how do you want to live? What do you want to do? My advice is to be determined to live deliberately and not to just exist passively. My advice is, do not let life happen to you and around you. Instead, live. Live deliberately and live well. My advice is this: don't waste your life. And as always, thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope that you found it helpful. And if you also believe that you are what you think, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. I'd also love to hear your thoughts about this subject, so please write something in the comments section below.